Chapter 855. Trump's concern was straightforward and simple. He was worried that Elaine would return home suddenly in the next 2 days. His precious chance to invite Nat Arya over to his house would be thrown out the window if she did return. He wouldn't dare, even if anyone pointed a gun at him, to invite Nat Arya to his house when Elaine was at home. Elaine would kill him there and then. Hence, he should grab the chance when it comes his way as soon as possible. Nat Arya stumbled into the reminiscence of her past too. Since she was from South Haven, she had to live in a dormitory when she was studying in Orris Hill. Moreover, back in those days, people were not open-minded enough to brag about them being in a relationship. They were rather shy and low-key. They didn't even dare to let their family know. She always wanted to cook a meal for Trump, but they never found a suitable time and venue to do so. In fact, it was not as convenient as it was now. Nowadays, couples could simply rent a hotel apartment or an Airbnb if they wanted to have a romantic date with home-cooked dishes, where the kitchen utensils were complete and abundant. But there was none of this back in those days. They would need a letter from their unit even if they wanted to book a room at a guest house, so these young couples would not go to the guest house or hotel to get a room. The college itself did have their own guest house where students could get a room with their student ID without an official letter. But the students dared not do so as well for fear that their friends or lecturers would see them. The first time that Nat Arya and Trump tasted the forbidden fruit was when Trump secretly took her home one night when no one was at home. They did the deed in a hurry. After that, they could only wait until there was no one at home if they wanted to make love again. However, at that moment, although Michael went to school out of town, his father did not often go outstation as most of his projects were in the local area. His mother hardly traveled far as well, so it was extremely rare for the house to be empty. Thus, most of the time, they would go to the small forest behind their school, the park in the city, an abandoned house, or even the construction site to do the deed. This was the only way most college students of that era could spend their intimate time with their lovers due to the lack of choice. It might seem crazy now, but it was really normal in that era. These young people needed to vent their overwhelming hormones, yet they had no suitable venue to do so, hence the risky options. The small forest behind the school was one of the popular hotspots for the young couple. There would be a couple being together every few feet in the dark and dense forest. Everyone could hear each other's whispers, but they had a tacit understanding to mind their own business. None of them felt ashamed or awkward as they could not see or recognize each other. Sometimes, the lecturers would do a spot check at the forest with flashlights in their hands. They thought that they would most likely catch one or two couples, but once they stepped into the woods, it felt as if they stepped into a lake filled with wild ducks that triggered all the ducks to fly and escape. Now, when the two people reminisced about their past, especially the time they spent as a couple, the crazy, romantic, and embarrassing details, their hearts thumped violently. Alex found that Nat Arya blushed in an unusual shade of red. She even looked rather shy and timid. He couldn't help but think, we were just talking about cooking at our house, weren't we? Why did she blush suddenly? Then, he looked at his father-in-law next to him, and similarly, the old man was blushing as well. In fact, he seemed so awkward and stiff that he fidgeted his fingers clumsily, not knowing where to put both hands.